When the decade began, baseball had never been more popular. By the end of the decade, fans felt betrayed when some of the best players decided to sell out. In 1910, William Howard Taft became the first president to ever attend opening day. He watched the Athletics play. That year, they went on to win the pennant and the World Series. They won 3 more World Series over the next 4 years. Ty Cobb dominated the game of baseball during this time. He was hailed as one of the best players in the game. Contrary to that, he was also known as a quote-unquote black mark on the game. He had a vile temperament and was terribly racist. At one game in 1912, Cobb started stomping a heckler with his spikes after something the heckler had said. This heckler was in a wheelchair and had no hands. The crowd shouted for Cobb to stop because the man didn't have any hands. Cobb replied, "I don't care if he doesn't have any feet," and kept kicking him until a park policeman pulled him away. He was suspended indefinitely. His teammates refused to play until Cobb was reinstated. It was the first strike in Major League Baseball history. Eventually, Cobb's suspension was lifted. Laborers in different professions started to strike across the country. The baseball players were always at the mercy of the club owners and had no representation. In 1914, a group of rich men tried to get in on the baseball action and formed their own league, the Federal League. They offered big money to big stars and gave the players the right to be free agents. 81 players joined. Old parks were renovated and rebuilt, including Wrigley Field in Chicago. This upstart league was a direct challenge to the American and National Leagues, which then decided to raise the salaries of their current players. The Federal League sued, saying that the National and American Leagues held a monopoly on Major League Baseball. Finally, after 2 shaky seasons, the Federal League gave up because of financial troubles. This new league collapsed. The new higher salaries promised in the American and National Leagues were erased. The players were as powerless as ever before. Due to low pays, 8 of the Chicago White Sox players agreed to throw the World Series in 1919. The White Sox were heavy favorites to win the series that year. Arnold Rothstein, a New York gambler, offered the players money to throw the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds. At the first of the 9-game series, the White Sox pitcher hit the first batter in the back, and for the rest of the game, the White Sox players were making uncharacteristic errors. In the second game, the same type of errors occurred. By the time the 6th game was to be played, the conspirators rebelled. They had not received all the money they were promised and vowed to play their best. They won that game and the next. The night before the 8th and final game of the series, the pitcher was threatened by gamblers if he didn't throw the game. That pitcher gave up 4 runs in the first inning alone. The White Sox lost. All 8 players were found innocent by a jury after the confessions of some of the players mysteriously vanished from the court file, and no one went to jail. They were, however, barred from Major League Baseball for the rest of their lives and never played again. Something was needed to revive the spectators' shattered faith. Babe Ruth was on the way.